Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Welcome to another amazing episode of Fan Faces Plus with your boy, Amadou the Great. On today's episode, we got some pretty exciting things going on. Got an amazing thing happening today. We got my boy from Bulgaria, by the way, of Chicago, by the way, of Rochester, by the way, of Chicago. We've known each other for a long time. He goes by the name of, sometimes for those who know, well, not even too many people know this, he goes by the name of Iassen Iverson. I'm one of the few people that know this, but for most of you people, you may know him online as Rado React. And today we have in the building Rado React, and we're going to talk about some sports topics, some public policy topics, politically related, and we're going to just jump right into this stuff, man. Hope you're having a good weekend, a good day. Welcome to the seat, my man.
What's going on?
Welcome.
Appreciate you having me. I know this has been a long time coming. So thank you very much for having me. I know we've been cooking this up for a while. That's right. We've been trying to get this going for a while. Happily, we finally did it, man. Let's get into it.
So you came from Chicago. You landed in Iraq, and we linked up, and we said this got to be done. So let's get into it.
Let's tell the people how long we've known each other first, because they're just going to think we're just two random people just showing up on a podcast. No, we've known each other for at least like 20 years. It's been, right?
Yeah. I met this kid.
I remember meeting you, and then like the second time I met you, I know that we played basketball and I beat you. That's all I know. That's all I remember.
I won't get into none of that, because if he can't tell you specifics, it didn't happen.
Yeah, no, you know, we've had a basketball rivalry going for at least like 15 years, playing every single summer. So it's been...
If he cannot tell you specifics, it didn't happen.
For those that know,
they don't know nothing. They're like, who's Iassen? But anyhow, let's get into it. We got today's topics. We got nepotism, Bronny James, and LeBron James. The Lakers, picking Bronny James. We'll get into that. We got the U.S. Olympics and Katie. The U.S. Olympics and what's her name? Katie.
Alex Morgan.
Of
course, she's not gonna be there. We'll talk about that.
And we got
Copa America going on right now.
Copa America going on, and EuroLeague going on as well. And we also got what's it called? Yeah, well,
international soccer is going all over right now, which is crazy.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
We got the presidential debates. We'll dab a little bit into that, and also Project 25 and what are black jobs and what is Hispanic jobs. Let's see. Well, let's jump right into it, though. We got the first topic at hand. You got the Lakers drafting Bronny James.
Number 55 overall, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, second round. Thoughts on that? Where do you stand on nepotism?
Oh, I mean, if we're going to talk about nepotism as a whole in the NBA, I got to say, nepotism's been around for a long time in the NBA. Not necessarily how we're seeing it right now with LeBron and his son, but, I mean, if you're looking at GMs, if you're looking at coaches, even owners of the NBA, owners exchange like hands all the time. The dad owns the team, then he passes it down to his children. That happens all the time with GMs. You see even coaches, coaches' sons are always getting brought up into the arena, into the space. They're around basketball all the time, so they're at least they know how the basketball realm works. So nepotism, I think, has been around for so long. And honestly, for people to just bring it up now with LeBron, I do think it's a little ingenuous. But then again, his stats didn't really show last year, so they do kind of have a small point where maybe Bronny should have been undrafted free agent.
As this video goes on, I will show you some stats of other comparable players that also got drafted that, don't have the cachet, but they got drafted, and don't have the parents in LeBron James, but got drafted. So we'll do a little comparison graphic-wise.
You're right. There's actually a guy, AJ Johnson. He got drafted in the late first round, and his stats are very compared with Bronny. Only 2.7 points last year. He was injured, obviously, so he does have slightly more potential, is what the scouts are saying, but similar stats to Bronny, and Bronny, he does have the cachet of his father, of course, and wanting to play with him, so that brings him a lot into it.
Let's bring it back. Nepotism in sports in general, right? It's not only basketball. You got the football players, football coaches.
Yes.
Cherry picking their sons, cherry picking their best friend's sons, cherry picking their best friends from other staffs and putting them together. You got GMs cherry picking from other teams, from people that they work with, saying, "I'll bring that person here." We pay attention to Buffalo Bills in Western New York, and the Buffalo Bills got what's it called? They got their whole staff, basically the general manager, the head coach from the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
The head coach got hired. Sean McDermott got hired from Carolina, and then Brandon Bean got hired from Carolina to come become the general manager for Buffalo. So nepotism is wide and rampant in all sports and all aspects.
And I like that you brought that up, because nepotism isn't just, a parent and a son, or maybe like some people related. I like that you brought up friends, because friends all the time will always get that job. It's like a friend of the GM gets the job. Like, look what happened in San Francisco. Obviously John Lynch, who's a player as well. I mean, he's never been a coach, a GM, any type of scout, and he gets that type of job in San Francisco, which is a huge deal. So it happens all the time.
We'll even bring it back further. The New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, and his offensive coordinator that did a blasphemous job with the Denver Broncos. I can't remember his name for the life of me. But he did a blasphemous job, and they hired him.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett got fired by the Broncos. Excuse me. Nathaniel Hackett gets fired by the Broncos for doing a dismal job with Russell Wilson. And immediately, right after, the New York Jets hired him to come become the offensive coordinator for Aaron Rodgers. Nowhere in the world, as a regular average Joe, does that happen for you if you don't know somebody that knows somebody that could, hey, I want that guy. So nepotism, Bronny James, and even the Colts, they hired Jeff Saturday.
Good point.
Strictly off of a relationship.
Let's talk about Arizona Cardinals. I mean, look at Kyler Murray. The only reason Cliff Kingsbury got hired his first year there is because Kyler Murray and him had a connection, back in college.
They went all the way. Cliff Kingsbury recruited Kyler Murray to Texas A&M.
Yep. So nepotism happens all over sports, and not just in basketball and football. I mean, that's where you can kind of see it now more, and especially because now kids are brought up today in these sports circles. There's a lot of these sports academies now, and a lot of these guys that were in sports, they want their kids to succeed. So they bring them into these IMG academies, and so it's a lot easier for them to get into it. Look at Christian McCaffrey. I mean, his father, Ed McCaffrey, wasn't the greatest player. I mean, he was a great player for the Denver Broncos, but he brought his kid into it, and that's how he was able to do it, into that circle.
And speaking of Christian McCaffrey, his brother got drafted by the Washington Commanders. So, it's who you know. It's nice to have some skills, but it's who you know and who your parents can mingle with. And your parents are in that circle. But there's absolutely nothing wrong as a father to be able to give your son a leg up, moving on in his future, creating their own life, right? It's like basically saying, I want my son to lift himself up by his bootstraps.
Right.
When you can afford him an opportunity, whether or not Bronny James makes it in the NBA, that's left to be determined.
Still unsaid.
That's left to be determined, whether or not he makes it. But if he doesn't succeed, he has other things to fall back on. But if he does succeed, hey, my dad helped me get this opportunity. My parents furnished me with every possibility that I could possibly have, every opportunity that I could possibly have.
And I took the opportunity and I ran with it.
Took the opportunity, ran with it, made life better for myself. So there's nothing wrong with it. And coming up next, it's Bronny James, Bronny James' younger brother.
And I'll be honest, I like him as a player. Like, scouts even like him more as a player than Bronny James. I mean, Bryce James is almost 6'8". He's going to be playing similar type of style to his father, more inside game. So I think he actually is going to be a top first-round pick.
He could be a lottery pick.
Now, the one thing I will say, though, is because the Lakers did choose him at 55, that's where some of the stuff comes into, where should they choose him with that pick, or should they give that pick to somebody else, where they could have just chosen him as an undrafted free agent. Nobody would have said anything about that. Obviously, LeBron wanted his son to be drafted and have that experience, but that's where some people are saying, oh, well, they could have just taken him undrafted and he still would have been on the team. So,
bottom line, let's bring this case to a close. Yeah. Nepotism worldwide,
of course,
in politics, in sports, in whatever field you're in, nepotism it's spread. You can't get away from it. So if you're a parent, help your kids get a leg up. If you're a mom or dad, or you're a best friend, help your friend get a leg up. If you can't, put them in a position to succeed. That's my 2 cents on that. But let's get on to the other sport, soccer. Soccer, football. We got the U.S. Olympic team not putting in Alex Morgan because of, well, some people could say ageism, because they want to infuse some younger blood into the Olympic team. But what are your thoughts on that?
For me, I'm a little bit upset, and I'll be honest. I've been watching Alex Morgan for a long time now,
Because
and
he thinks she's a baddie.
that's part of it. But I also think she's a great player. I will say that. I think she's an amazing player, and she actually really brought a lot of eyes to the women's sport. Not only that, I got to meet her in 2013. I did photo shoot for the United States women's soccer team in Rochester, actually, and I got to meet Megan Rapone, Alex Morgan, and Drew Holiday's wife.
I don't know her name.
Forgetting her name. Lauren Holiday, excuse me.
Okay.
Lauren Holiday. Yeah, that shout out. But anyways, I think she's an amazing player. She really brought a lot of eyes to the game back in 2012, if you remember, and that really kind of obviously jumped up her career. Once she was in the Olympics, then it really brought her career to a whole nother level. Up to that point, I would say Abby Wambach was the women's face of soccer, and that changed when Alex Morgan was there. Now, I will just bring this into another sport quickly. If you look at the WNBA Olympic team, they do have some older stars like Diana Taurasi, who is kind of like that legacy pick that they added onto the team. I do believe that the U.S. women's soccer team should have done the same thing. They should give her that legacy spot, just like they did with Abby Wambach back in 2016. And just like they did with Megan Rapone a few years ago. Megan Rapinoe, sorry. Yeah.
So
what about you?
I'm going to disagree with you, because it's not because it has to be done. It's because plain facts, all right? The U.S. soccer team is the #1 team in the world as far as women's soccer goes.
That's true.
So with that being said, they did not win the World Cup. Last time the World Cup was around. And who was part of that team? Who was essential part of that team when they didn't win the World Cup? Alex Morgan was one of the burgeoning stars on that team. And in order for your team to grow, in order for your team to further achieve success, you need to infuse new blood into it. You cannot maintain the same old, and expect better results, because that's insanity. You're not doing anything to make your team better. You're keeping on the veteran picks, the old veterans, and they can help with leadership. They can help with guidance and whatnot. That's great, but you need to infuse new blood. You need to infuse people that are gonna, feel like I need to achieve more. Because Alex Morgan has achieved. Alex Morgan has done a whole lot of things when it comes to soccer. So, I mean, she could still be behind the scenes individual. She doesn't need to be.
See, I get your argument, but that would make sense if they wanted to just put her on the starting 11 and rush her out there and let her play most of the game, or let her play most of the game. I don't think they would have done that. I think she would have been on the team, and she would have been a substitute. I think she would have been a great reserve to put in late in games, 60th minute and on. There is a better player right now, Alyssa Smith, I believe her name is, who plays the same position as Alex Morgan, who I will say, like, they've been playing in the trials. She scored a bunch of goals, and that's why they like her. That's why they like her in that position. But as a legacy pick, as something to still grow the women's sport, because obviously women's soccer is only popular, we can just say it, during the Olympic times. Women's soccer is, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough sport to get off the ground, and players like this help that sport get off the ground.
So I hear you, but there's also another aspect of this, right? The U.S. women's soccer team didn't win. And the European soccer teams are getting better and better, and they caught up, right? Spain's women's soccer team won the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, and they have young blood.
England is good as well.
England's good, yes. Yeah. So if America does not progress towards the younger players that seem capable, what are we doing, America?
I will agree with you there.
What are we doing if we're not trying to up the ante, if we're not trying to bring the next best thing, the next best star that could possibly infuse a lot more energy.
Right, energy and winning.
A lot more energy into the squad. Yeah. So what are we doing?
I will agree with you there. I think that that's a big part of it. That's probably the main part, is because they lost last time, and they see that Canada is good now, Japan is good, England's good, like you said, Spain, obviously they are run.
Spain won it.
Yep. And I honestly, I believe this year, England is up there as one of the.
England's definitely competitive. So they have, I believe, one of the top 10 players in the world. Lauren, what's her face? I forgot her name. She was the one that kicked the Nigerian player,
Yep.
but she is a beast. So America,
you do need some new blood, but then again, like I said, in other leagues, there's always been legacy picks. I mean, look at Michael Jordan being in the All-Star game at 39, 40 years old. You know, that was a legacy pick, even though he was only averaging like 15 points a game. Look at right now Diana Taurasi going to the Olympics at age 40. You know, she's a legacy pick for the women's basketball game. Obviously, there's been legacy picks all around multiple sports, and I think that I really believe that.
You believe it's a necessity?
Not necessarily a necessity. That's too much of it. I think that it would have been a great ending to her career. This would have been her last games, obviously. It would have been a great finish for a great career to a player that's given so much to this game. I do believe that Alyssa Smith, she's just a lot better right now at this point in her career than Alex Morgan. But still, like, Alex Morgan has the name. She has a cachet. She has the followers that's going to bring more eyes to that game as well. And I feel like it's still going to give more.
My last and final thoughts. It's a national game, correct?
Yeah.
Alex Morgan's not going to bring more eyes to it. National Pride is going to bring more eyes to it.
That's true, but fans want to see the players that they know. Fans want to, like,
sure.
They root for who they know.
Like cheers. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. Da-dun, boom. Great. But we need to keep it moving. The show needs to keep it moving. Alex Morgan and Team USA need to keep it moving. Maybe she didn't want to play a backup role, so we can't have.
That's a good point. Maybe
we can't have you. She doesn't want to do it. We can't have you.
We don't know a lot of the behind the scenes, and maybe they asked her that, and maybe she said no to it, and she only said, "I'll go if they give me the starting spot," and they just refused it to her. So you're right. That could be a big.
They're like, nah, we're Gucci.
Yeah, I mean, that girl Alyssa is nice. If you guys haven't seen her, check her out. She scores some good goals. She's a little bit shorter as far as, like, you know, the girls are. But
young blood and a Jazz as a team, because they're fighting for something. Old blood sometimes may be fighting for something, but not necessarily. They may be complacent in what they're doing and be okay with it.
Definitely
complacent. But let's jump into Copa America.
Mm-hmm.
United States, a men's soccer team.
Hey, man. I mean, we thought that they were just gonna get wiped, but I mean, they're not doing that bad right now. Like, they're up and down. Obviously, they won a game, they lost a game, but I mean, if you look at just Christian Pulisic as a whole, just yeah, I call him Pulisic. You know, give him that Polish little Polish fling that he's got, a little flavor.
This is Italian, papupi.
But I mean, Pulisic. Anyways, I think that he's obviously the next